Hey, welcome everybody to the PK Sportscast. I'm your boy John, aka that PK boy. I'm here with Caleb and Knock today. How you guys doing?
Phenomenal.
Absolutely doing good over here.
All of Chiefs Kingdom is feeling good today, boys. We got some good topics today, guys. Covering everything from the Chiefs to the Bucks and Falcons game. We got the Chargers Browns game. A lot of really good ones this week. A lot of really bad refing this week. And then we'll get into next week with some big games coming up, week 6, like Buffalo, KC, of course, Dallas, Philly. We got some really good ones coming up. But anyways, let's dive straight into the what I think at least was the biggest game this week, which was Monday night. The Raiders went into Kansas City, and the Kansas City Chiefs came out with a 1 point victory, 30-29, and the internet seems to be up in arms about some controversial things that happened in this game. Caleb, I'm gonna let you lead it off, man. How'd you feel about the outcome of that game?
Outside of the questionable, I guess is the nicest word to use when it comes to a roughing the passer call. I'm really not sure what we were officiating at that point in time, but we will have plenty of time to go into that. I Kansas City, they always play good when they're behind. I don't understand. It's like it's a part of their game plan. Hey, go out, go out. We're gonna start this game being down 17, and then we're just gonna go on a 30-12 run, and then out of nowhere, hey, you know what? We're gonna show y'all this is what we do. Um, couldn't have happened to a better team than the Raiders. Raider Nation, how you doing today? I just know you love me today. That's great. That's awesome. Y'all gotta fix something, man. That's another close game that the Raiders really could have, if they were just kept doing what they were doing, they could have won. All things aside, I love it. McKinnon, he that first scoring drive, he really got us going. Couldn't say enough about him. I thought it was really awesome the way that this team comes together, and then the second half, they're just like, we're going to beat you. It doesn't matter how we're going to do it. We're going to take advantage of what you're giving us. Run the ball, throwing the ball, doesn't matter. They're doing what they do. And Patrick Mahomes, I don't know what or who said to Mahomes there in the second half, but whenever you have Mahomes saying he's here in the camera, that's a recipe for a bad day for the opposing team. I love seeing Mahomes fired up like that. It was just amazing. I know we only beat the Raiders by one. A dub is a dub.
That's true.
That's 17 unanswered points that Oakland, or excuse me, Vegas put up, and man, it was just beautiful to see. Travis Kelsey, 4 touchdowns, just beautiful. You can't let Travis Kelsey find the end zone 4 times if you want any chance to win. Not when Mahomes is passing him the ball. So it was amazing. I'm glad that Casey was able to overcome that horrendous call of roughing the passer. It was just a beautiful look every way you look at it in the second half, minus some defensive plays. I thought it was beautiful. Knock, what did you see on it?
Oh man, this game was such BS, man. It was just BS. That's what it was. It was BS. The referees tried to manage this game too closely. But I'm not going to get into that right now. I'm not going to get into that right now because I think that takes away from what the Raiders did. I want to give the Raiders credit because Kansas City is the current regime right now that is closest to anything resembling a dynasty. And the Raiders have had one hell of a time trying to get a win against the Chiefs, let alone in Arrowhead. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but I can tell you it hasn't happened often, especially in the last few years since Mahomes has taken over as our starter. With that being said, if you're going to come into Arrowhead and you're going to win a game, you have got to come in and play a physical game with winning the turnover battle, and you have to punch them in the mouth immediately. You have to win at the line of scrimmage and get very physical, much like we saw the San Francisco 49ers play against them in the Super Bowl, the way Tampa Bay played them in the Super Bowl last year. And that's exactly what the Raiders did. Oh, make no mistake, the Raiders came in and they ran the ball down our throats. We didn't give up 10 yards to Leonard Fournette last week, and Jacobs had over 150 yards this week. Carr played well. Made some good throws. He didn't give the ball up a lot. Um, with that being said, well, those Kansas City Chiefs are the most resilient team. And I think it's pretty obvious now that we don't have to have Tyreek to come back from 17 down any given Sunday or Monday. It was a great thing to see. Um, we leaned heavily on Kelsey. He breaks the record for Monday Night Football with 4 receiving touchdowns. Is there a better guy that we'd like to see have that record? The most touchdowns in one night on Monday Night Football. It was pretty cool. He took over the game. Without his help, we don't win that game. The Chiefs fans were pissed off about the call, and rightfully so. That was a textbook strip sack where he also immediately recovered the ball. He tries to break his. I mean, there is no There's just no way that we don't get that call. At the time, we were losing the game. We were down 17-0. I mean, this is a critical third down where we could get the ball back and have an opportunity to score, and instead they get a first down and the yards. But I think it did fire us up. It fired the fans up. I heard them chanting, "Refs, you suck! Refs, you suck!" I think everyone in the nation heard that. The crowd really got into it. It became a very personal and chippy game in the second half. It was very personal and chippy between Kelsey and the secondary. I don't know if you guys saw the play where Kelsey went top of the formation wide as a receiver, singled out on one side. They doubled him with number 99 and a corner. I don't remember the corner they put on him. Instead of they bump off the line of scrimmage, he basically just got mauled by 99. A defensive lineman just went out there and just beat Kelsey up on the play like that. But it was still a successful play by the offense. That's what he does, is he commands that type of respect. He still was able to go out and perform. Can't give him enough credit. Now, with that being said, there's a reason why our defense was struggling against the run. It's because we lost one of our best run defenders in Tershawn Wharton with an ACL early in the first half. And when you're missing your biggest run stopper, I think he's the heaviest guy we have on our defensive line that's on the active roster last night. You're going to start giving up those kind of runs. And I do expect that we're going to bring up that big guy that we had in the preseason that's been on our practice squad. What was that gentleman's name? I had written that down. Danny Shelton. Yeah, Danny Shelton. He's almost 400 pounds. So he'll be coming off the practice squad. I have no doubt about that. And he's going to help shore up that defense. But, kudos to the Raiders. They came out. They ran hard. Juan Thornhill, wrap up. Please wrap up, Juan. Please wrap up, Juan. Please wrap up. There was a lot going on there. But, I was worried about Willie Gay being gone. Harris has come in and done a great job. Harris actually led our team in tackles last night, not Nick Bolton. First time I think this season anyone led the team in tackles other than Nick Bolton. So he's come in. Harris has come in. He's done an excellent job as far as that's concerned. So I was really happy with that. I think that it's one of those kind of games that you have to win when you're expected to win a Super Bowl. And so I was happy to see us defend at home. But with that being said, I'm going to turn it over to you, PK. What did you see?
Man, first things first, I saw a dub by the Kansas City Chiefs. No, honestly, the night started off a little rough for me. I mean, 17-0 in the second quarter, I wasn't feeling super great, man. And I'll just be honest. At 14-0, I was already upset. Then they put up the extra 3, and I'm just sitting there thinking to myself, what is going on right now? Mahomes kind of just had that look on his face that it always reminds me of when we got schlackled by the Bills in the regular season last year, where he just kind of is looking around just oh man, yeah, we're getting our ass beat, that turned around pretty quickly when the third quarter came around. I mean, they even looked like they had a little bit of life at the end of the first half for sure. Notables, Mahomes was just shy of 300 yards and 4 touchdowns, no picks. Always love to see no picks from Mahomes. That's great. Can't ask for much more from a quarterback. Maybe the extra 8 yards to make it 300. McKinnon had a lot of grit last night. I feel like he was just like a spark for our team. He broke out a 30-yard run that just got everybody excited, including myself. And I felt like I saw an immediate change in our team at that point. MVS finally showed up. He had 90 yards. Juju was right behind him. So, I mean, our team did what they could. But what I thought was really interesting with the offense is, you know, Kelsey said in some kind of podcast or something that he loves playing the Raiders because he's going to get 200 yards and a dub, right? So he commands the attention, like you said, Knox. So what did they do all night? They doubled him up. And so we used our new guys in Juju and MVS. We had McCole had, I think, 70 yards too. We started using some other guys. You didn't see a lot of Kelsey until when? The red zone, baby. He had 25 yards on 4 touchdowns. That's insane. I mean, we really waited until the final moment where we had the whole drive, didn't need him. We catch him slipping one time, and that's all it takes, man. Or I guess you could say 4 times. So that was awesome. Jacobs had a hell of a day, 154 yards on 21 carries and a touchdown. I kind of expected that to happen. I didn't expect Wharton to go down, of course, but I did expect the run game to be strong as they usually are from the Raiders. But DT, 124 yards and 2 tutties off 3 catches. The first one coming off that BS 4th down that, we won't talk about Juan, like you said before, but yeah, 58 yards to the crib from DT. That sucked. But I think the most important thing I need to do in this segment is give out a big, giant thank you. Thank you, Hunter Renfrow, for stopping the 4th reception and 3rd touchdown from Devontae Adams. Because let me tell you, he had us burnt, dude. I'm just going to admit it as a Chiefs fan, man. DT was out. He's going to put up the Tyreek Deuce on us. And my boy, my best friend today, Hunter Renfrow, came in and said, "No, you ain't." And like, he's the only person on the field that could do that and not get a flag thrown. So I'm happy that he did it. That really did save us because we were in a messed up situation. We had a messed up roughing the passer call that you guys already mentioned. Not much more to say there that you guys didn't already. I think it's BS. Gravity did its job, and the man can only do so much when, like, I think that's the first time in NFL history that a roughing the passer has been called on a man with possession of the football. I mean, that's just insane.
Horrible.
I mean, I also think it's the first time that I've watched a game and that was great.
I'm sorry, fellas.
That's going on.
You can't plan that. But I mean, I don't know. What's the man supposed to do? I really don't understand. I could see why maybe, like, with the new rule, like, it's really the NFL's rule more than it is the refs, where they're saying, like, you can't land on the quarterback with your full weight, and they can't review it in the booth. So, I mean, I could see how the refs have their hands tied, but, like, no matter what, it's wrong. They need to fix that. If they're going to have the QB protected to that extent, and they're going to be that heavy on the play calling, then they need to be able to review that in the booth, man. I don't think that you should be able to throw a challenge flag or anything on it, but they got to take it to the booth level because, I mean, that was BS, dude. I mean, the guy has a football in one hand. He's trying to catch himself from landing on his face with the other hand, and he's still got a flag. I mean, it was a textbook strip sack. I can't imagine how many people were pissed if they had a Chris Jones sack on their parlay last night, because, man, that would have been upsetting for me. But either way, we ended up coming out with a win. We should have won by more. Refs kept it close, but I mean, I will say the Chiefs were so loud. I heard them through the TV louder than I think any other stadium. You could hear the "refs you suck" chant. I mean, like, those refs got every call right after that, let me tell you, because Devontae Adams got, like, he had a bobble with, like, a little toe drag that they ended up saying was only 1 foot, but they called it complete on the field. I mean, that could have cost us the game. And then my final point is Raiders. Kick the PAT, yo. There's 4.5 minutes left in the game. So my thing is, if you're going to go for 2, you got to leave us with less than a minute. You can't go out there and go 29-30 against the Chiefs and say, I think even if you got the 1 point or the 2-point conversion to go up by 1 point, do you not think that just by numbers and just averages that Mahomes is not going to get into field goal range in 4.5 minutes? You had enough trust that we were going to go out there and punt the ball after we just made a massive comeback and scored 30 points damn near in the second half. I think that's a questionable call. If I'm a Raiders fan today, I'm pretty upset with it because honestly, I think that given the circumstances, with what was going on at that point in the game, the Raiders probably should have won that game. But I'm happy to take away a dub as a Chiefs fan. But do you guys have anything else to say? Like as far like what can the NFL do moving forward to stop this BS trend that we're seeing with this roughing the passer? Like these quarterback calls are getting egregious. Like, do you guys have any idea of what they could do? Like, whether should they review it? Should they pull the rules back? As Troy Aikman said and pissed everyone off, should they take the dresses off? Like, what are they supposed to do?
I'm thinking because right. I mean, two just egregious calls happened just this past week. Tom Brady. Now we have Chris Jones, he was on ESPN last night. He was very, very upset, rightfully so. I mean, the man has possession of the ball, so I think the NFL I know they're taking looks at these two instances. I don't know whether any kind of rules change or anything. I don't really know. I don't foresee that happening. But I mean, we got to stop treating these quarterbacks like they're babies. I mean, what are you supposed to do? How are you supposed to take down a quarterback? What, you want to untie his shoe? You want to just hope that he falls? Like what as a defender, what are you supposed to do?
What do you want to put flags on him? Or you
I mean,
want to
right? That's
you want
what
to
I'm
hug
saying.
him? You got to hug him now? You just want to hug him? You know what I mean? You can't, if you just hug him and then bring him down, you're going to break the leg. You want Tershawn Wharton's big ass grabbing you and then pulling you down, or do you want him slinging you down? To your point, these are football players. Is the quarterback a football player or not? These guys can throw the ball while they're being taken down, but you guys don't want them to be taken down. As a defender, what do? The defenders are getting paid bonuses based upon the amount of sacks that they have. The amount of sacks that they have dictate whether or not they make Pro Bowls, whether or not they get recognition, whether or not they get endorsements. So last night, Chris Jones, who's on his way to a Hall of Fame career, probably has one of the very best plays in a clutch moment of his entire career. A strip sack on third down while they're losing in the first. You know what I'm saying? Against a division opponent at home. He strip sacks, recovers, picks it up, and starts running. And that it doesn't even go on his highlight reel anymore. And so it costs him money, and it happens all the time. And so, yeah, I mean, these are things. We'll get into the one for Atlanta and Tampa Bay, because I would definitely have a lot to say about that. But those are the type of things that makes the defender make them go, what are we doing here? What are we doing here? And makes us as fans watch and say, how is it that you can stop a play to make sure that you got the yardage right because a guy was touched? Oh, we can go back 2 yards, but you can't get this right. Oh, well, it's not in the rules. We can't review every play. Or is that just an excuse? Are we trying to get it right, NFL? Or are we just trying to be right? We trying to make excuses based upon circumstances that you ultimately control, NFL. So you got to look at this. You got to get this fixed.
Yeah, I don't know like where the pressure is coming from that's making the NFL protect the quarterback to this extent. But, I mean, they're going to push it to a point where, I mean, you're going to have to put flags on them, do a 5 Mississippi. O-linemen are going to start getting lesser and lesser deals. You know what I mean? Like they're going to get smaller because they're not going to need to do as much. I mean, like it's just going to completely change the game. And my thing too is, I don't know who all here has played football, anyone that's listening, but like if you've ever played football at any level, whenever you've been told how to tackle people, how are you supposed to not land on them or not sling them over you and slam them like we saw with the call against Atlanta, against Tom Brady? And I guess we'll get to that. But like, how do you not do one of those two things? That's all I'm wondering. But to that point, let's go ahead and move on to the next segment because we go all day about this part. But Atlanta and Tampa Bay, close game. Tampa Bay ends up taking the win, 21-15 at home. And I have to give a special shout out real quick. I'm going to take it easy on Marengo because he's not here and he had 8 points this week and kicked all of our asses. But at the end of the day, This man said that Atlanta was going to go into Tampa Bay and spank that ass. And Marengo, I'm here to tell you that that did not happen, but maybe it should have based on the way that game ended. But anyways, Knock, take the lead, man. What were your thoughts on that game?
This game was frustrating to see. As a Chiefs fan, I've seen Tom Brady just get away with what seems like bloody murder his whole career. Seems like there's always a new call for Tom, whether it be the tuck rule or something else. And it seemed like it strikes again, in this game. It's hard for me to really focus on how the game went. It was a bit uneventful. It was a very defensive game because all I can think about is the call um, that was real pivotal in the fourth quarter that really prevented Atlanta from getting another possession. And they had the momentum and they give them an opportunity to tie it up or win the game. So it was frustrating with that call. I think the combination of that call and then what we saw last night, or excuse me, on Monday night with Pat Mahomes, with Chris Jones being flagged unnecessarily. I mean, these calls are just getting frustrating. But I've never seen a penalty being thrown on a quarterback that had been slung the way that Tom got slung. There wasn't a flag thrown on the play against Tua, and it was the same type of tackle. So to me, it just felt like here's another opportunity to see something new to protect Tom. And I don't know how long they expect Tom to keep playing. Obviously, they want him to play until he's 50, because if you touch the guy, you see laundry on the field. But it is what it is. It was really difficult to see. And then after the end of the game, what was really annoying, then they asked Tom about it. I don't know if you guys saw the comment. Tom says, "Well, I don't throw flags." Well, yeah, obviously you don't throw
So that's
flags. We
is
know
that,
that,
I mean, is that
but you can't say whether or not obviously you can just not speak on it, but don't. I just feel like that's just a little disingenuous when you say something like that. It's a little smart ass, little smart alecky or whatever. So,
yeah,
anyways, that's what
might
I
as well
really
be
took from the
admitting.
game. I would have liked to seen Atlanta win based upon that, but it is what it is. It is what it is. Caleb.
And I no, I really don't. You said it best. I don't really know what else these guys can do. I didn't get to watch much of this game, but I remember looking at social media and took social media by storm. These calls, I really don't know. I really don't know what else can be done. But Atlanta really didn't do anything to help their case. I mean, Tampa Bay had a 21-0 lead. At that point, it was just insurmountable. But then Atlanta starts looking like they come alive in the fourth quarter, and they couldn't get the job done. I wasn't really expecting Atlanta really to win this game. I didn't expect really much of them at all. I was actually surprised that the score was as close as it was, after seeing it be a 21-0 lead, somewhat early in that game. But, the whole Tom Brady thing, that's a smart. I think he was just kind of being a smart ass. I don't know. I mean, he's 45, right? He's in his mid 40s, whatever the case may be. Quarterbacks should be able to get hit. I don't like the way he presented himself in that interview, but whatever. Unfortunately, Tampa walks out with another close victory after they almost blew it. So I would have liked to see a little bit more from Atlanta. They just didn't have it. John, what were you thinking on that?
I mean, it was just a lot of flag throwing in the fourth quarter. Tampa had a commanding lead to go into it. Atlanta got some life. They got their first touchdown at the beginning of the fourth. Stopped Tampa, got the ball back, went down and scored again. Got a 2-point conversion out of the deal. So now they're at 6 points under on Tampa with all the momentum. Tampa hasn't done anything in the fourth quarter in 15 minutes, and honestly, like it was just terrible. So there were two third down plays that weren't converted but had calls. So there was a defensive holding call early in that last drive, and that ended up giving the Tampa Bay Bucks a fresh set of downs. And then what do they do with the fresh set of downs? They're at the Atlanta 47, 3rd and 5, and they call a roughing the passer that we all saw. And it's kind of what I was just saying in the last segment. It's like, how is he supposed to tackle Tom in this scenario and not either land on him with his full body weight, unless he like does a push up over him, like he's trying to mount him, or he freaking slings him as he takes him down with him. Like, I mean, we all were taught when we played football that you put your head low, you wrap your arms around the waist, and you take them down however you got to do it. So you're telling me that these grown ass men who make millions of dollars and wear pads can't be thrown down? Like, I understand Tom's a 45-year-old man, but I mean, shit, that no one made him play. Maybe Goodell did. No, Giselle didn't. So like, it's
Wow.
I don't get why that was called, because with the momentum that Atlanta had, if that's not a roughing the passer, they're on the 47. They're not going to kick that field goal most likely, and if they did, they'd probably miss it, and then Atlanta's got better field position. But that would have gave Atlanta roughly 3 minutes to construct a drive down 6 points to go and take a lead. Not saying that they would have won, but with the momentum they had, it's hard to say that they wouldn't have. Unfortunately, we'll never know now because the refs like to control the game too fucking much. I mean, it's really insane to me, the amount of games that were affected this weekend by those kind of calls. I mean, if I was an Atlanta fan, I'd be feeling pretty butthurt about that one, because that's a divisional game. I mean, I know that Atlanta fans probably don't expect to make the playoffs, but anytime you get a chance to beat Tom Brady and you get messed up by a referee's call, which I feel like almost every fan base probably has that fucking feeling when it comes to Tom Brady and a referee, it's hard to see. It's hard to watch. It's really hard to watch, man. So I don't know. I don't really have much else to say. I think that everyone expected Tampa to win. I'm not surprised that they won. It just really sucks to see it come down to a call like that. You know,
It was
I would have
how
loved
they
to,
won.
I would have really loved to see, you know, even if Tampa did pull out the win, I would have loved to see that last drive, because that's what, as a forget what fan base you're a part of. If you are a football fan, one of the most fun scenarios you can be in is a 6-point game, 3 minutes left. I feel, and the team that's down has the ball. That is the drive everyone wants to watch, and every play is a nail biter. And unfortunately, and that was robbed from us with a stupid penalty that put them into field goal position, and they ended up just running the clock out. And you know,
Yeah, to piggyback off of that, I mean, that is exactly why they changed the overtime rule so that both teams can get a possession. Is to your
Mhm.
point, everybody wants to see a team who rightfully deserves an opportunity to win, a fair opportunity to win. And there's no guarantee that Atlanta would have scored again or won that game. We're not saying that, but they certainly deserve the opportunity. It's no guarantee that if the Chiefs lose the game against the Raiders, we all look back at that play where the referees took over and took control of a game and they couldn't take it back. Right? That's the thing about it. When they exert their authority over the games, it turns fan bases off because they can't always take it back when they make a mistake. So they've got to, that's where it is. We want to see these teams get their rightful opportunity to win, and Atlanta was robbed from that.
Yeah. I mean, and if you're going to be calling plays like that, you got to do it consistently, because we all watched last night. Mahomes got slaying on a sack. The same exact tackle. I saw a side-by-side on Twitter this morning that showed both plays simultaneously, and it looks
And
identical.
it was exact. Yes.
It was like almost exactly the same play, and they didn't call on Mahomes. You know why? Probably because Mahomes got right up and started dialing up, getting ready to go, right? And instead, Tom Brady like sat there for a second, like, "Oh fuck, I'm 45." You know, like he probably felt it. I'm sure he did. Like that's a big boy like hitting you, but still, like they got so scared. Did you know if you look at the box score, Tom Brady didn't get hit at all last night.
That's
Just
so
saying.
irritating, because nobody made Tom Brady play until 45. Why are we still baby?
Zero sacks on Tom Brady this week because of calls like that. And honestly, like I'm just tired of seeing Tom Brady have two. Like it's always a third down too. I don't understand it, but 2 third down penalties in the final drive of the game.
Yeah.
If they wouldn't have called the defensive holding, and I personally didn't see the holding, so I'll give them benefit of the doubt. It was real holding, sure, but that roughing the passer was bullshit. And if the defensive holding was as questionable as that call, boy, I don't know, man. They got to figure out the refing right now because I mean that's just too many games in one weekend for us all to be sitting here talking about on the show. I would much rather this segment be us talking about how Atlanta either went down and scored or how Tampa picked off Mariota at the end, whatever it may be. I would much rather talk about the game than I would the officiating of the games. And it's really sad that it's becoming this big of a topic. You think we get better every year, but it seems like we're just complicating things further. So we'll see. We'll
Feels
see
like
what
we're
the NFL plans to
regressing.
do. Yeah, the NFL came out with a statement today. They said that they were going to review, just like they're going to review their concussion protocol. They're now going to review their QB roughing the passer calls. We'll see what changes they make if they make them this season. All I know is I'm like I'm all a fan for keeping the quarterbacks healthy. I know they're making $500 million contracts now, but I mean, shit, dude. Like, put flags on them or let them get hit. You can't let us think that Chris Jones got a strip sack or that Atlanta has a chance of getting the ball, and in reality, the refs are going to come in and say, "Nah, fam, that's not how we're doing this." So, um, anyways, I'll move to a game that I don't personally recall any bullshit refing. Would be the Chargers and Browns game. Chargers snuck away last minute win, 30-28 off of a missed field goal by the Browns. Caleb, I'm gonna throw this one to you first, man. How'd you think of that game?
I have to apologize to the Cleveland Browns and their fan base because, man, at the start of I think they already have as many wins than I had for them the entire season. So, um, I really do apologize because that's just something I did not see happening. They once again found themselves in a shootout with Chargers. Unfortunately, they just couldn't get it done. They started out hot. They came out the gates, led 14-0 after the first quarter. Then you look at it, and after three, they led 28-27. So you're kind of looking at this going, well, the Browns again, and that's exactly what it did. There were two times the Browns had a chance in the final 3 minutes to take the lead. They just didn't capitalize on it. First time with that ended with Jacoby Brissett an interception at the goal line. 2:45 left. You can't give the ball back Justin Herbert that much time. Herbert's going to make some noise. We already know what he's about. He can do it. And then in the second, Cade York's 54-yard field goal attempt, he just pushed it right. 16 seconds left. There's the game. That game, just like the Chiefs game, we could be having very different conversations. Just came down to what happened in the last just in the closing minutes. We're looking at a team now. The Chargers, excuse me. What is the what is the Chargers record so far this season? So as of right
They're
now, the
3-2.
Chargers are they're
They're
three
three
and
and two.
two. They're 3-2. They were seconds away from being a 2-3 team, and that would be second. That would be second in our division. So we're just looking at two very different. We're looking at two very different teams, and I really wish, for my sake, I really wish that the Browns would have been able to pull that one out, but unfortunately, they did not. And can I say, Chubb had 134 yards, 2 touchdowns, 17 carries. Dude was just he can still ball, and so I don't know. I feel really bad for the Browns because I know they're used to disappointment. And I really don't. If any Browns fans are watching this, I believe you have a bright future. I really do. So I would not take anything from that loss. I wish the Chargers would have lost. Knock, what are you feeling on that game? What did you see?
I don't have a whole lot on that game either. It was a very interesting game though because it was so close. It was a lot of fun to watch. The highlights are incredible. Austin Eckler went off. I think he ran for
Yes, he
like
did.
175 or something like that. I think he averaged 10 yards a carry, which is amazing. As you mentioned already, Chubb had a hell of a day also. Hunt got in the end zone for Cleveland. It was a very active run game. So it was a lot of fun to watch as far as that's concerned. A lot of poor tackling in that game. But, what really got me was, the coaching decisions on both sides of the ball. You know, it's clear how much analytics are really taking over the decision making with some of the coaching in the NFL. You're seeing teams that should just kick field goals and tie it up, going for it, like we saw with the Raiders, when all they have to do is tie it up in that situation, to, like you mentioned. So that was crazy. I mean, I think at the end of the game, there's a 4th-and-1 situation where the Chargers had the ball at midfield and they could have punted, pinned Cleveland back with just seconds remaining, and make them drive up the field for a field goal. And they went for it. And even though Austin Eckler was averaging 10 yards a carry, they decided to pass the ball on 4th down, and they didn't convert. And now here goes Cleveland. And to your point, Cleveland makes that field goal, and now the Chargers are 2-3, right? And the Chargers, we all, many of us have the Chargers as a wild card team in our 2 early predictions. A lot of us have them as a wild card team. And this is the difference between a wild card team and a team that ends with 4, 5, 6 wins. And I think that's where we all had Cleveland as a 4, 5, 6 win team, and the Chargers, making the playoffs as a wild card. So, I think that's what we're seeing kind of come to fruition. It doesn't surprise me. The Chargers are going to find a way to screw up. And that's kind of what they do as an organization. They're historically looked at as having the most talent in the league, and everyone always thinks that they're going to do something, and their coaching always seems to let them down. So this coach is already in the hot seat with some of the decisions they made. If they lose that game, he might be getting tossed out of there at the end of the season. So I know Keenan Allen was tweeting in the game because, Keenan Allen's been injured. He was at home. He didn't make the trip out to Cleveland. And he tweeted at the end when they didn't punt, like, what are we doing? And when your own star receiver, your Pro Bowl guy, is at home tweeting, questioning the decision-making of the coach, it's just never a good look. So I know the coach addressed it.
Bad look.
Very bad, right? So I know the coach addressed it. Go ahead.
Can you imagine, like, Kelsey, if he was injured, sitting at home and, like, questioning Andy Reid's play calls?
Oh, that's exactly what I was about to say. Yeah,
it's never going to happen. And so, yeah, I think we're just already seeing what's going on there. So I just don't think that that team is ready for the big time yet. But we're going to see. They might grow through it. We're going to see. But that's really all I had for that Browns-Chargers games. The Browns do have a better team than a lot of us did predict.
Yeah, and to piggyback off that, that's kind of what I was going to make this about. I mean, I would say I'm pretty spot on about the Chargers. They barely snuck this win out. You said everybody had the Chargers in the playoffs. I only have the Chiefs coming out of the AFC West in any kind of playoff seeding. I already said Raiders, Broncos, Chargers, they're all fake. I've been saying it since our first episode. So I feel good about that take. Where I am dead wrong, though, is I had the Browns 2-15. Even though we said that was going to be if Deshaun didn't play, I think if Jacoby played through the rest of the season, they're going to win 5 or 6 at least, right? And honestly, if they could finish out games like this, I think they'd be over 500, because I don't think Jacoby Brissett is much worse, if any worse, than Baker Mayfield, right? Like, he's actually doing pretty decent. I mean, the man did catch some Russell Wilson syndrome when he got in the red zone at the end of the game. So he did throw an interception in the end zone. That wasn't great, but I don't think Baker would have necessarily not either, as we've been kind of seeing with him. But what I do want to say is the future is very bright for Browns fans. I mean, I know you guys have had this QB controversy. I don't think this is your guys' year by any means, but I mean, if Deshaun comes back and they can keep him protected and he's actually allowed to play, there's no more of that drama going on. I mean, you guys are looking like a really good team in that division with Lamar, Joe Burrow, and Deshaun. That's going to be a pretty tough division to win, man. I'm just saying.
Oh, like, and Pickett too.
And Pickett, yeah. So I'm saying, like, Pickett's a little improvement, but he looks good for sure. But yeah, exactly. Like that whole division is going to be stacked. And if Pickett becomes one of those greats too, I mean, like, that'll be probably the most loaded division quarterback wise in football. They said it was going to be the AFC West, but
I'm glad you said that, because I was just about to say that. I can't
wait to get into my surprise.
I'm just going to say, man, I mean, like, what you got Russell Wilson, or at least the guy that looks like him. And then you got Justin Herbert. I mean, he looks good, but he's a little injured. And, I don't actually dislike Herbert. I don't like that they always talk huge on him like he's better than Mahomes just because he competes with Mahomes that loses. It's so stupid to me. And then Derek Bike, and then you got the Mac Daddy, Pat Daddy, right?
Pat Daddy.
I don't know. Anyways,
Derek Bite.
Chargers, you're 3-2. That's what I predicted you guys to be at this point in the season. You're gonna go 9-8 and miss the playoffs, guys. I'm sorry, Cleveland. I owe you an apology. You will go way better than 2-15. But yeah, moving on to surprises because that excites me too. Knock. I'll go ahead and lead you off, man. What was your most surprising take from this week?
You know, I've got to go with Geno, man. I've got to go with Geno and the Seahawks. I know that they lost this week, but it was a really close game. They lost Rashad Penny in the first half. I believe that if they keep Penny in that game, that they end up winning that game because they're able to maintain the ball, run the ball more often, win first downs and that kind of thing. So Geno is one of the top players this year as far as quarterback rating. And I know I trashed him early in the year and said that he was dog water along with the rest of his team. And they are actually showing a ton of resiliency. I didn't give Pete Carroll enough credit for how well he's coaching. And so I definitely have to do that. But that was a pleasant surprise. I love to see. I remember I had to eat crow a few weeks back about it, and so I'm done with that. But I did wish him to have a good season at that time, and they're doing well. So I know that I think they've only won 2 games, but man, he looks way better than we anticipated. He looks like a starting quarterback, and his numbers reflect that. I mean, when I'm looking at his numbers, I mean, think about it. The Broncos, they gave up a king's ransom. They gave up a king's ransom for the guy who was starting in front of Geno. Okay, the man in Seattle, Russell Wilson, goes to Denver. They're like, oh, we're just a quarterback away. We're just a quarterback away. And they're losing to the Colts. They're losing to the Seahawks, who they just everyone thought the Seahawks game was going to be, they're just going to destroy the Seahawks. No, they take an L. They lose by a point to the Seahawks. They lose by 3 points to the Colts. Now, let me ask you guys this. Russell Wilson has 4 touchdowns and 3 picks. If Russell Wilson has 100 more total passing yards and his touchdown total is 9 and his interceptions go down to 2 from 3, he gets 9 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. Do you think that they're winning those games that they lose by 1 and lose by 3? Of course they do.
Oh,
they win
yeah,
those games, right?
absolutely.
Well, I just told you what Geno Smith's numbers are, okay? Geno Smith has 100 more passing yards than Russ Wilson. Geno Smith has 9 touchdowns to Russell Wilson's 4, and Geno Smith has only 2 interceptions to Russell Wilson's 3. And I bet you they could have gotten Geno for a hell of a lot cheaper than what they got Russell Wilson for. So that's my surprise, is that Geno Smith is balling and he's showing out. He's making the Russell Wilson trade look like a joke. Congratulations to you, Geno. What do you guys think about how the way Geno's been playing this year?
Go ahead, Caleb. You were high on the Seahawks. I'm curious to see what you have to say.
You guys made fun of me. Now I wasn't sure that Geno freaking Smith was going to be doing what he's doing, but Pete Carroll, like I have faith in him. He's a Super Bowl winner. I don't expect them to be a playoff team by any stretch of the imagination, but they're not. They're certainly being more competitive than what the general football population thought they would be. I mean, they're making these games competitive. They're fun to watch. So, I can't say I'm shocked for whatever reason. I thought they would be somewhat decent. But Nog, how many games did you have? Did you have Seattle winning this year?
2 or 3.
Two, 2 or 3.
2 or 4.
I think.
That's pretty rough. That's.
I have it right here. I had the Seahawks winning 1 game.
1. You had them.
I told you guys I thought they were trash,
game.
man. I had to walk it back. All right, that's why I said this is my surprise. This is why I'm surprised.
It's got to be a full apology. I apologized to Cleveland for 2 games. So
I did apologize to Cleveland as well. I got to apologize to Cleveland, but man, yeah, you had them winning 1 game. That's.
Yeah, I mean, look, this is why this is my surprise, right? Because I didn't anticipate that the Seahawks would be doing this well. Their defense is decent. I'm looking at their win-loss total. They've had an opportunity to win some games that they didn't win. They're 2-3, but you know, they could have came out on top in that Saints game. They could have came out on top against the Falcons. They lost by 4. So, they're right there. They could be 4-1. So, I'm surprised by these guys. Good for you, Gino. I can see your growth. I'm happy for you. Congratulations. I'm interested to see what you guys do further. I hope you guys turn that whole NFC West upside down. Quick question, though, for you, Caleb. What's your surprise this week? What did you have standing out?
One moment. I wanted to jump in on this one too, because I also owe the apology. I had Seahawks at 2 wins as well. I'm not apologizing to Caleb for thinking they're going to go 8-9, but I will say I definitely thought that the Seahawks were going to tank this season. And even in the games that they've lost, like if they are tanking, they're doing a hell of a job at covering it up, man, because they look like they want to win so bad. I'm like actually rooting for them
For
every
sure.
week. And that's really all I want to say is the fact that like we went from these guys are going to tank the season to holy shit, Gino's trying to like make a wild card spot. You know what I mean? So that's awesome, man. And I'm actually going from thinking they're going to be dog water to I'm rooting for them. I hope that they do a good job. I mean, I think that division this season more than recent seasons is pretty wide open. The
It's
Rams look like
vulnerable.
doo doo. Yeah, exactly. But anyways, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off,
No.
Caleb. What was your surprise?
You listen. I think it's got to be Dallas. I have to give my props to them. Whenever especially Dak goes down, I was like, oh, fuck, they're not doing anything whatsoever this season. Lo and behold, we have Cooper Rush out here winning games. And like you guys said, I know the Rams are not looking anything like they were last year, but you go on the road and you win a game 22-10. You can't really be upset with that with your backup quarterback. Man, he only threw 16 times, only had 102 yards. They're still getting 20 points with that, and their run game looks good. The defense is looking. I was watching highlights of that game. Their defense looks great. Dare I say great? Looking really really good. They are looking like a really solid all around team. I don't know how well that will translate in the playoffs. Knock, I will give you my apologies because I don't know what it is with you. I think you are a closet Cowboy fan. I won't. I won't go in too hard on you on that, but I will give you an apology because I was clowning your Cowboys, and they are proving that they belong where they're at. And you know what? I can't even be mad at them. They're fighting with Philly, and they're still hanging on. Knock, I'm sorry, man. What are you thinking about it?
I'd like that. I like your surprise. I mean, can we get a how about them Cowboys, baby? Can we get one of
No, I'm
those?
not doing that.
Can we get
I'm
one of
not doing
those?
that.
Okay.
Oh
All right. You know
man,
what?
chill.
You got to because look, man, these guys are overachieving. Everyone knows as soon as Dak went down, we're like, oh, well, there we go. Psh. No one expected him to do a damn thing anyways. And then they lose Dak,
No,
and you're like, pfft. And they haven't lost one game since. This kid has won 5 straight games as a starting quarterback of the Cowboys. I can't remember the last time I saw a Cowboys quarterback win 5 straight games. Do you? I'll wait. Probably was Aikman. You know what I mean? So, like, yeah, I don't even know if Romo rattled off 5 straight. Certainly not his first 5, but even 5 straight at any point, right? So I'm surprised as well as you guys are. I'm not very much so much a Cowboys fan as I just looked at the roster. I looked at their schedule, and I thought to myself, these guys could go on a run. It kind of is set up for them to do that. Now that defense looks great. The Cowboys defense looks great. Let's not get it twisted. The reason they're winning these games is not because Cooper Rush is just coming in and just playing so well. It's because Cooper Rush is not throwing a bunch of picks, and the defense is holding teams to less than 20 points. The defense looks phenomenal. They're showing up. They're creating turnovers. Their special teams has been playing well. Tony Pollard, just week after week, makes you wonder why they don't start him instead of Zeke, but that's a whole nother thing. Um, that I'm with you on that. I'm very surprised. I'm happy for the Cowboys. I'm looking forward to what they're going to do this week against Philly, and I know that that's coming up. We're going to talk about that game in a little bit, but that's what I'm looking forward to see if they're the real deal or not.
So what I just want to bring up support. I hate to play devil's advocate. The Cowboys look great. Defense looks immaculate, right? Think they look really good. Cooper Rush put up 100 yards and they're still winning games. That's great. But I want to remind everybody about what the Cowboys like to do. While it may seem like Knock is on a good roll here with his NFC pick, let us not forget what the Cowboys did last season. They lost in week 1 against Tampa, and they went on a 6-game win streak. All right? So that they went 6-1 last year, ended up being 7-2, and then they shit the bed, became 12-5 at the end of the season, and they didn't do anything in the playoffs. So let's not forget this pattern that we're used to seeing from Jerryland. All right, just need y'all to know that. But I will say this: maybe, just kind of connecting this with our last segment, just maybe, if the Broncos can get out of that $250 million, maybe they could get Cooper Rush, because this man comes in and wins games. All right. So I think maybe that's the answer here.
You know what? That's I know that's what you think, but it is probably not correct, because I actually had 2 surprises this week. My second surprise is that PK, you got a goose egg. Bro, you got a goose egg in the 2 early predictions. You didn't get one single game, right? There's 16 matchups. There's 16 matchups. I don't know what kind of calculus, trigonometry, geometry. I don't know what you have to do to figure out how bad you have to be to not get 1/2 a point, not even a 1/2 a point, Brett. Like, you're probably completely wrong on your take. That was 0 points, bro. You went from a firm second place. You dropped all the way back into third. You let Marengo get, by the way, Mango, my man. Way to go off this week, bro. 8 points. But, yeah, you just shit all over PK because he had a donut, bro. He just 0 points for PK.
I wish I had a fucking real donut.
Dude, Marengo is blowing your ass out of the water now, okay? So, and Caleb's nipping at your heels, okay? Caleb's nipping at your heels. So, get it together, PK. That's my second biggest surprise. PK with the donut.
You know what? I will say? Out of everything that you just said there, the most disrespectful part of that whole thing was the fact that you're going to sit here and try to say that Caleb is on my heels. Now, I'm going to say this. Caleb, if I goose egg 2 more weeks in a row, we might be tied, my guy. So don't come at me with that. Knock, I know that you're doing well in these predictions, but let's not act like you ain't get lucky with a perfect score prediction from the boo-boo-ass Packers that have been doing me wrong. We know that the Colts been doing me wrong. You're lucky these are all too early score predictions because I'm killing y'all. The only thing I've got is that I have, if you go through the entire season up to this point, I have guessed the most correct games. All right, I'm killing y'all.
Yeah, but that's not the rules. Good
team.
for you. That's like someone saying that they didn't win the Super Bowl, but they got the most first
I'm
downs.
not finished. But my scores might have been a little high because we expect the Bucs to be able to put up 30 points, but they can't. We expect Tennessee to put up a little bit of money, but they can't. I'm getting some bad stuff here. Detroit wants to score on everybody all season when I say they won't. Then this week I want to say they score. They're like, nah, man, we gonna goose egg with you, Johnny boy. Let's do it. I don't know, man. It was a rough week. Congrats to Marengo, but I'll tell you what, man, we are not even a third of the way through the season. I'm coming at y'all. Don't you sit there and act like I can't. If Marengo can catch you in a week, I damn for sure can catch you in 12. So I'm not giving up.
You know
but
what?
Yeah, but that goose egg did hurt. I ain't gonna lie. I had a few games there where it was just like one end of the game field goal or touchdown would just steal it from my arms, or they would just never get there because of my high score predictions. I don't know what I was drinking or smoking the day that I made those predictions, but I had 38-31 for the Indy and Denver game, and I damn for sure was off there. Sorry, Caleb. What do you got here before I move this segment forward?
That is a lot of smack coming from somebody who had Indianapolis coming out of the AFC.
Hey, man, listen. We all know that I was wrong there, all right? I thought they would have Big Dick Nick playing by now, all right? That's why I had it happen. Any team he's on, I got going.
And you know what? You talk all that, and this is 2 consecutive weeks that I had more points than you did. Now, I understand. I'm still 2.5 behind. Let another goose egg happen, boy. You're going to be sitting back here with no medal. Let me tell you about it.
Caleb, based on the rate that you're going, if I goose egg next week, we will be tied or you will still be behind. Again, you just said that you've beaten me in points for 2 weeks in a row, but you still are multiple games behind me. So why don't you work on getting 5 points this week, big guy, and we're going to see what happens. Knock, if you have another week like you did this week, I'm going to be right behind you too. So y'all don't worry about it. I know
On
I'm down.
what play?
Listen, I know that I'm down because of these damn
Are you feeling yourself?
Colts. Oh, man,
Are you feeling yourself,
listen.
PK? Well, I don't know if you're over there. I know you're in
No.
Denver, man. You must have been up to the altitude must be affecting your brain. But let's get it clear. You got 0 this week. You got no room to talk. Caleb is right on your heels. Marengo is whipping your ass, and I'm about to lap you. So I hope you get a little luckier next week.
Where was this energy when I was whipping their ass by the same amount of points? Now they all of a sudden whooping my ass. All right, no, we're going to see what happens. Now, I will say maybe I talked to too many Broncos fans the week I did my predictions. I do remember that was the week I was talking about.
Oh, they rubbed off on you.
Maybe some of their stupidity leaked into my brain a little bit. That's why I had this Thursday night game being such a high-scoring game. 38-31, I think was my prediction. And then, I think a lot of us, if you were between the ages of 38 and 31, you probably fell asleep because that shit sucked. So let me just go ahead.
I told you guys that was going to be a snooze fest. I promised you it was going to be a snooze fest. I told you, catch up on your sleep. Don't worry about the game. It will be a snooze fest. Take the under. And they only put up 21 combined. They had 5 periods, and there was still not one touchdown scored in that game. Nostradamus strikes again.
I will say, man, I owe you a thank you because I won on the under on that game. So and I actually saw a commercial. They said that if anybody had watched through the entire game plus the overtime, we could be eligible for financial compensation. So maybe I might get some help too from the lawyers. Because, man, that was a shit show.
It was bad.
And I'm just going to roll right into that. Is my surprise for the week is the fact that, I wasn't so surprised that it was a low-scoring game. I guess I should say there's a few minor surprises that got me in that game. We already knew it sucked. No one can score a touchdown. I've been telling y'all Russell Wilson wasn't the answer, so obviously that wasn't my surprise. I've known the Colts have been sewage for 2 weeks at least. They surprised me at first, but I knew that was coming. What surprised me is at the end of the game on a 4th and 1, after they just lost to Seattle in a similar situation for doing dumb shit on 4th and 1, Russell Wilson doesn't understand from his fucking the one thing that he has made him memeable in his entire career is the fact that they didn't give Marshawn the ball when they needed 1 yard. So then you're going to go out there in overtime. We know that turnover on downs is automatic L. There is no defense, nothing. Automatic L if you don't convert. And this man didn't call. I don't care what coach is saying. I'll call an audible out of a fucking pass. If I'm Russell Wilson on the 10 going into the end zone on 4th and 1, dude, I'm getting the first down. I'm not about to become a meme twice, and that's what he did. I think the man actually just likes publicity in any kind of way he can get it. I think he's definitely got the motto, no publicity is bad publicity, because that man is getting famous for all the wrong reasons right now. It just really upset me to see a game go down like that. I don't even like the Broncos. I'm a Chiefs fan. I need them to do as bad as possible, and I'm still over here just what the hell are y'all doing in Denver right now? We've been hearing for years that they're a quarterback away. Y'all remember what happened when we got Peyton? We just needed a quarterback, and it changed everything. That's what Russell Wilson's going to do for us. He beat us in the Super Bowl against Peyton Manning. He's going to be even better. We're going to be the shit. Yada, yada, yada. And he's not even a Geno. I don't know, man. I guess I'm still surprised by it. Maybe next week I'll be prepared for the garbage that is, but what did you guys think of that snooze fest?
I fell asleep just listening to you talking about it just now. I mean, it was
it's terrible.
It was horrible. I don't even know. You want to be honest? You know what I have on my notes here? I said, Denver. Do I really need to say much? What a boring ass game. That is what I have for the notes there. That's how bad it was. And I just remember looking because I was tired, but I was like, I just want to see how bad this is. And something like 5-6 minutes left in the game. I'm like, I just sit back in my chair and I'm like, This is going to overtime, isn't it? It was just a boring ass game. I don't even have anything constructive to say about it. Knock, do you? What?
Man, look, I
Do you
fell
have
asleep. I
anything?
fell asleep in the second quarter, bro. I fell asleep in the second quarter. I caught up on my sleep. Look, man, the wisest people take their own advice, okay? I caught up on my sleep. I killed it Friday. I was good. Monday night, I still had energy left over from the weekend. I rolled right into their strong in the Chiefs game last night. That game was bad. There isn't any, they don't deserve us to really even keep talking about that game. It was horrible. Um, I can't believe that Russell Wilson is playing that poorly. I don't know if it's the system or if he's just not studying the playbook, but it's definitely going to affect his legacy. That's how bad it is. So
Yeah, if
That's
you watch the highlight reel for that video on the NFL app, it's like 7 seconds. It just shows Russell Wilson throwing a pick at the
it
end.
just
That's
shows
all.
him missing reads. He's
Throwing
missing wide
throwing a
open people for touchdown
like the
over and over.
entire highlight reel from that game is just KJ Hamler staring down Russell Wilson with banging his fucking helmet on the ground. That's the whole highlight
well,
reel.
wouldn't you? He was wide open,
Bro. But listen, the fact that you've got a caliber player like Russell Wilson getting a mug from somebody like KJ Hamler, like I'm just saying, bro,
Yeah, you're
that
right
is
about that.
something.
KJ
Bro.
Hamler
Like,
is like, no, he could be out of the league. No offense to you, KJ. No offense, but a lot of people around the league don't know your name as a household name, and they wouldn't know if you were out of the league. Whereas Russell Wilson is supposed to be going to the Hall of Fame, right? And
yeah, it's just a
yeah,
different
and
tier.
so to have him staring him down, you're right. That is hilarious, actually.
Yeah, like can you imagine if we had fucking like even Pacheco? I feel like is more like would be more uh I guess credited to do something like that. But can you imagine him staring down like a Pat Mahomes, like you
no.
dumb motherfucker? Like that is not normal, man. This man went from like praised all summer to hated
That's
all
funny.
season. I don't know, man. We'll see what ends up happening, but I feel like based on the reactions from some of the teammates and stuff, they're gonna have more than just a lack of play issue. I think it's gonna be a hardcore locker room issue, and they're gonna be. I mean, I don't know. Russell Wilson may pull the Brock Osweiler and get that bag and dip. I don't know. We're gonna find out. But on to
Wow.
some good teams. We got some really. We got probably a matchup that most people are ready to watch. I know I am. Uh, Buffalo is coming to Kansas City once again, baby. And y'all know that this is a rivalry that's brewed over the last 3 seasons. I can't wait to see it. Caleb, or I'm sorry, not Caleb. Knock, I will let you lead this one off, my guy.
Wow, this is going to be a heavyweight matchup right here, boys. This one is the one everyone's going to want to see. This is easily the top matchup. We have the number one rated team as far as strength of power ranking, NFL power rankings on ESPN, going against the number two team in the ESPN power rankings. These two, if they weren't in the same in the AFC and NFC, people would say this is the Super Bowl matchup that everyone's looking forward to. Buffalo is coming back to Kansas City, and I'll tell you what, Buffalo looks as good as they have ever looked. I don't know how, um, Josh Allen has seemed to improve, but he somehow like got double better than he was even last year. Josh Allen looks like he's phenomenal. I mean, the kid's phenomenal. His hands are over every single yard on that team. His hands are somewhere on it. They are phenomenal. They are averaging a little bit. We're averaging. Kansas City's averaging 31.8 a game. Buffalo's averaging 30.4. So you're looking at about a 1.5 point difference. But the difference is Kansas City's giving up 25 a game. Buffalo's giving up 12.
Oh. Oh.
Sheesh, right? This is, I think the stats add up to say, maybe Buffalo finally gets a win. That's kind of what the stats are looking like. But I delved into it a little bit further, boys. Knox, I can't just make a prediction without looking into it a little bit deeper. Like I look into Caleb's eyes when he gets mad when I say Nostradamus. Buffalo hasn't played anybody. Buffalo hasn't played anybody. Buffalo played the Rams. They just got beat by the Cowboys, the Titans, the Dolphins, the Ravens. Okay. and the Steelers. They're not playing anybody. The Rams, the Titans, Dolphins, Ravens, they're not putting up numbers, man. They haven't seen an offense like Kansas City for damn sure. And so for that reason, the fact that we're gonna bring in Danny Shelton off the practice squad to shore up that run game. We've got a revamped front seven. We're going to be putting a different level of pressure on Josh Allen. We're going to be pursuing Josh Allen a little bit differently. And if Juan Thornhill can learn how to wrap up between this week and next week, Josh Allen is going to do the same thing he always does when he comes to Kansas City, and that's get his ass whooped, okay? I predict that the Chiefs are going to win this game. The Chiefs have owned this matchup. It's not going to change on Sunday, okay? It's not going to change on Sunday. We own these guys. It's mental, okay? We're in their heads. It's going to be a tough game. It will be close, but I do expect Kansas City to pull out the win. That is where I'm at on that one. I think in my early prediction, I had it 27-20. Could be a little bit more higher scoring game, knowing what we know now. But I still have Kansas City winning that game. Caleb, what do you think about it?
So I'm thinking that I'm going to have to check in with my doctor to see if my heart is healthy enough for Kansas City football. Listen, I was at the game, and I'm sure you fellas know what I'm talking about. When Buffalo came into town last year, we won the 13-second game. And listen,
Wow.
I'm just telling you, if it's going to be anything like that, man, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle it, because it's that game. It was incredible to be at, but man, I don't know. I think I might have had a couple heart attacks here and there in that game. But we have this game split down the middle. I have Buffalo winning in overtime. John and I actually both do. Me 41-38 Buffalo, him 37-31 Buffalo. You and Mango have Kansas City. As you said, the stats say so far the odds would be in Buffalo's favor. And as the score prediction says, I would think so, but I think you're right. I think Kansas City is in Buffalo's heads just a little bit. But I know Josh Allen he's got to be hungry. I know the beginning of the season, he went to his calendar and said, yep, let's go ahead and star that one. Let's go ahead and star that again. That boy's not playing around, man. I'm scared. Josh Allen scares me, man. And I don't know. I would love to see Kansas City pull that out. Can you imagine how good Kansas City would be? Like, if that would answer a lot of questions I have about them. Like, what's the defense going to do against a really good team? What are they going to be able to do? So, can you imagine how good it's going to look for Kansas City and the confidence boost it's going to give them if they actually win this game? Man, I can't wait for it. Honestly, John, what are you feeling? Is there anything that scares you about this team? Or are you more on Knox's side? Do you just kind of think, whatever?
I mean, it's really tough to say. I agree that on paper, Buffalo should win this game by 7 points, right? But it's really going to come down to the defense. I think I would say I might still be leaning towards Buffalo, as much as, of course, I want the Chiefs to blow them out. I don't think it's going to be as bad as last year's regular season game where they came into Kansas City. Or we might have even went into Buffalo. I forget which one, but we got our ass beat. I know that. It was bad. But regular season, while it may have changed some seeding here and there, it doesn't matter. We're going to see Buffalo in the playoffs, right? So I'm not saying this game doesn't matter by any means. It could be the difference between a bye and not having a bye. But, we're in a weird way, I'm okay if Buffalo wins this game because it's hard to beat a team twice in one season. And they may get us in the regular season, but we will get their ass in the playoffs. If we win this game, I'm not sure if we'll take a third in a row in come playoff time if we see them again. I know that's a weird, superstitious thing to say. I just think that's a big point of it. But I mean, their defense looks way better than ours. I wish that our defense was a little bit better. We're like middle of the pack. Their defense is solid, but at the same time, they lost to Miami. Miami does have a little bit of a better defense than us. I'm not quite sure offensively. They did have Tua for that game with a concussion, kind of, but I agree, man. Josh Allen's a scary dude. He's one of the best in the game. It's like him, Mahomes, and like fucking Lamar for that new up and coming era, right? But I think I'm going to stick with what I've got on there. I think it's going to be a shootout. I think it's going to come down to a potential overtime game or just a close game at the end. The only thing that would disappoint me about this game is if it's a landslide on Buffalo's side. I'm okay. I don't want to see a landslide on either side of the ball. I would just prefer it be on Kansas City's if we're going to do it, right?
Right.
But I just want to see a good game, and that's really like what everyone I think is excited for Buffalo KC is like this is going to be a good game. Both teams should do well. I hope it's not like 13-10 or something. I want to see 60 points in this game, and have some fun.
I hope we score 50 of them.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I want to see a good game regardless. As far as like would I update my too early prediction? I would maybe drop the score down into the 20s for each team. But I think I'm still going to stick with Buffalo this week as much as I want to see Kansas City win. But what I wanted to say real quick, because I kind of skipped right over this whenever I jumped over to Buffalo, Kansas City. I got too excited to talk about it. I did want to recap some of the games from last week just to kind of get that out of the way here. So let me pull these up and just kind of give you guys an update on what we're looking at score-wise. So Marengo obviously beat our ass this week, and I put up a goose egg, as you guys already know. But for the Kansas City game, Marengo went ahead and took that score, 30-29. He had 27-21. Indy and Denver was a freaking terrible game. Marengo went ahead and took the score there. None of us got Green Bay because they're freaking garbage, and New York sports is somehow working this year. I think Caleb jinxed him when he said New York football should not exist. Something along those lines, I'm pretty sure is what he had said. Sorry to throw you under the bus there, bud. From there, then we had the Pitt at Buffalo game. That wasn't even close at all whatsoever. Ended up being a really landslide victory for Buffalo, and Marengo took that point. Caleb took the point for the Chargers and Cleveland game. And somehow, someway, Jacksonville lost to Houston. They never can beat Houston. I don't know why I didn't vote for them, but Marengo took that point as well. Caleb came in and took points for both the Minnesota game over Chicago and New England over Detroit. None of us expected Detroit to put up 0 points, so that was crazy. New Orleans came in and took that point to save himself from a goose egg, so he took that one there. None of us hit for Miami because I don't think anybody. I almost had this as a surprise this week, but the Jets putting up 3 touchdowns to end the game, like it was a 2-point game. Then all of a sudden it was 23, so that's crazy. Atlanta, Tampa Bay, Marengo took the point, even though, and I will not let him get away with this. You said that Atlanta was going to come into Tampa Bay and spank Brady. But somehow, some way, you got the point for Tom Brady winning. You're lucky you're not on this week,
that boy
buddy.
got
I'm
skills.
not questioning you about that. Yeah. He was like, I'm gonna talk my shit, but I'm gonna get my point too. Tennessee beat Washington. Marengo took that point. San Francisco beat Carolina. Marengo took that one as well. We all this is how you know it's a too early prediction. All 4 of us voted for Arizona to beat Philly this week. And so we all were wrong there, of course. It was close, though. It was really close to happening. Dallas beat the Rams. Marengo, once again, with a point. Only person to even pick Dallas to win that game. And then Knock came through and got the point for the Baltimore-Cincinnati game, which was insane because he picked it to be 34-31. It was 19-17. But kind of like I was saying earlier, we all went so high on that score. I mean, Caleb's got 35-31. I've got 37-30. So, I mean, yeah, Knock took the win with a super high score as well. But we were both just so much higher. So, crazy week. I hope to never get another goose egg again. But, after this week, I'm seeing how easy it could be. You can guess as many teams right as you want. If your scores are off, dude, you're not getting shit. So, I do like that twist in this game, even though it cost me dearly this week. And we're getting messages here from Caleb. Looks like he lost power, so we might just have to duo this thing for the rest of the segment. But let's go ahead and jump into Baltimore NYG. That's a game upcoming this week. I think that it's a game that probably before the season we expected to be more of a landslide, not really much to talk about. But here we are. The NFC least is becoming the NFC most because, Giants are also 4-1. They got a better record than Baltimore. So, and you can't really say can't necessarily say they didn't play anybody. They did just upset Green Bay this last week. Knock, what do you think on that, man? I think it's gonna be a really good game.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. I think it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. The Giants are such a surprise that we're talking about them, and I'm glad to be talking about them because I don't think we've talked about them yet on our podcast. So, the G-men need to get a little representation on the show. So it's good to have them in here, and them being at 4-1 is a huge surprise. I mean, you look at where they're at on the power rankings, and they're not even top 10. No one's mentioning them at all as being a top player, yet there they are, 4-1. Just one of the most balanced teams in all of the NFL. They're averaging 170 yards rushing, 170 yards passing. I mean, those are kind of paltry passing numbers. Their defense
Yeah.
is solid. They're only giving up 18 points a game. And I think this is why they're actually able to win games. So, to see them kind of battle through all of these injuries. I mean, their entire wide receiver core is just depleted. I mean, here's just a short list of names of receivers that they're not able to play right now. They've lost Kenny Galladay. They've lost Kadarius Toney. They've lost Wan'Dale Robinson. Sterling Shepard's gone for the season. Colin Johnson they lost earlier in the year. I mean, they are just. I mean, that is 6 receivers right there. I mean, that is an entire receiver room out, and they're still finding ways to be 4-1. Say doing his thing, running the ball. So I can't really, talk high enough about the Giants. I'm super, super happy for them, proud of what they're able to do there. They definitely deserve some more respect, even if they lose this game against Baltimore, because let's just face it, anytime you're facing against Lamar Jackson, you're lucky to have a 50-50 chance to win that game. And that goes for Kansas City, Buffalo, or anybody else in the league, right? Because he's just that guy. So, I think for them to be in this race with them and both have, to your point, a better record than Baltimore going into the game, having gone through all the injuries, having gone through what they've gone through, kudos to them. I'm looking forward to a good game. However, with that being said, with the too early prediction, I did predict that Baltimore will win the game 27-14, and I think that I can just stand with that. If I was picking today, I would probably go with the same thing because let's just face it, they are facing the G-men are facing a bunch of injuries, and Baltimore is, yeah, they have kind of a sometimesy defense. I know I've clowned, but I think that they go into this game, even though it is, I think, in New York. I think the Baltimore comes out on top in this one. I give them at least a 7-point spread with the dub on this one.
Yeah, I mean, I like your prediction on this one too. Giants are surprisingly good this year, but I mean, we definitely have to look at who they've played. Week 1, they played Tennessee, I believe, which is a decent team to beat. But I've been telling y'all all season that they're not real this year, so we'll say that's a decent win, right? They beat Carolina. That's you know what I'm saying.
Yeah. They lost their head coach already.
Yeah, exactly. So they lost to Dallas, who we know is a good team right now. Not mad about that loss, right? It's a division game. It came down to it. Then they won against who was it they beat last week? They beat. I know they just beat Green Bay.
They just beat Green Bay.
So
I think they beat the Bears also.
Too. They beat the Bears. Thank you. So I mean, like, maybe you can give them kudos for the Green Bay game, but Green Bay even looks like a shell of themselves this year as well.
True.
So I think that the reason this is such an exciting game for me is because, Baltimore's 3-2, but they've lost to some good opponents. One of them was a shitty comeback from Miami, which does have an electric offense, or at least did at that time. They probably should have won that game and been 4-1 right now, but I think that if the Giants can pull off this win, this is kind of their way to say, like, hey, we are real. I know
Yeah.
we played some scrub teams, but like we're real. So if they can beat Baltimore, it's in New York. So kind of like we've discussed on previous shows, it's a trap game. It's an away non-conference game. I think that the Giants could do something that we this upcoming week, especially if the Ravens aren't prepared for it. But my prediction on this was 31-10, and while I may bring it in a little closer, I think it's easier for me to just say I'll stick with my pick for this week. But just being a rooter for underdogs, even though they technically have a better record, I am rooting for the Giants to maybe do something because, Caleb unfortunately lost power. I think it might have been a little convenient, but he previously has been quoted saying that New York football should not exist.
He did say that.
And
I heard him.
he
Yep.
did, and I just want to say that both New York teams are doing pretty well this season so far. So,
Yeah, I think he
we'll,
had
we'll, we'll
Baltimore going to the playoffs, and it's funny because in this game, not only does New York have a better record, but New York's also only a 5-point underdog. So, I mean, this is definitely a competitive game because there was a bigger
I might take that
spread
spread.
on the Chiefs Raiders game than there is on this one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think it's going to be a good matchup, man. I'm really excited to see what's going to happen. I'd like to see. Uh, I think we all know it's kind of Daniel Jones's kind of year to figure it out, or they start thinking about replacing him. I would at least think. I mean, the dude's been starting there 3 or 4 seasons,
Yeah.
and he's been like okay, but I mean,
Danny Dimes isn't always doing it like that. They'll be the thing is the Giants are going to be bringing in a new quarterback. They're going to draft a quarterback because it's a deep draft. But the question is it going to be a first round quarterback or is it going to be a mid round quarterback?
I would think at this pace they're looking at mid round. I mean, if they go for a first round quarterback, what are they going to get? Really, you know what
Well,
I'm
Danny
saying?
Dimes is 848 yards, 3 touchdowns, 2 picks. I mean, he's having a worse season than Russell Wilson, right? So like they're not saying this is our guy of the future. Whereas you look at Jalen Hurts, right, who's in the same situation kind of where they got to decide, do we bring in another quarterback or is this our guy? And he's showing, hey, look, this is our guy. So,
Yeah,
to your point, Danny Dimes is definitely on the hot seat.
definitely. I mean, I feel like I've seen some quarterbacks better than him get taken out and not get a new job. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. They're 4-1, so I can't talk a lot. Glad Saquon's back. He's a fun player to watch. So definitely looking forward to watching this. I think with the injuries though, Baltimore's going to take it. But moving on, this game, I would say right behind Buffalo, Kansas City is my big game of the week that I'm excited to watch. Dallas at Philly. Man, already a good divisional game. I probably already would have wanted to watch this, but I mean, I don't think any of us expected a 5-0 and a 4-1 matchup, especially with the 4-1 team having no Dak. It's really, if you didn't have Philly 5-0 at this point though. That's what I'm saying. Is like in your two early predictions, you got
I
Philly
have
3
them
and 2.
with the best record in the NFC.
Right, you've got them both 3 and 2 right now. I looked at what we've got. You would have them both at 3 and 2. I'm just saying, like no one expected them to be this good, right? And especially after we saw Dak go down, we didn't expect a 4-1 Cowboys. We've already said that on the record many times. So I'm ready to see what happens, dude. I mean, Dallas has been beating teams that they just should not beat with a backup. I mean, Cooper Rush had 100 yards and they still won a game. I think that Philly's going to really need to bring it this week. What are you thinking?
Look, guys, I mean, this is the matchup. I mean, we've got some serious matchup. We got the AFC matchup, the overall AFC matchup, and then we've got the NFC East matchup. And both of these teams, I've got them both going to the playoffs. I've got them facing each other in the playoffs, and the Cowboys ultimately going to the Super Bowl. But I do have Philadelphia winning the division. And the reason why is because I viewed it as Dallas is going to take some time to gel and they're going to finish on a hot streak. With that being said, let's be clear. Dak is out, and they've got a Band-Aid at quarterback. I'm not coming off of that. Cooper Rush is the Band-Aid at quarterback. He's doing a solid job while they're healing. With that being said, their defense is the star of the show. Okay, Micah Parsons and company. That is the star of the show. Micah Parsons is the quarterback. of that team while Dak is gone. Let's be clear. Micah's that dude. And with that being said, my question is this a really good defense? Maybe one of the best in the league right now? Or is this one of the best defenses that we've seen in modern history? Is this going to be a Ray Lewis caliber defense? Is it going to be a Derek Brooks led caliber defense? Because if so, Dallas has a chance to win this game. They're going to need it, okay? Because let's face it, the Dallas offense is not nearly as potent as the Philadelphia offense is. Jalen Hurts has that offense clicking on all cylinders. They brought in A.J. Brown, who has been huge for them. I'm looking at the stats right here. Philadelphia is averaging 27 points per game. That's not poo-poo numbers. You can't poo-poo at 27 points per game. Dallas is averaging less than 19 points per game. Okay? And so,
but what are they allowing?
That's important. Dallas is only allowing probably 12 points a game. I've got it pulled up right here. Actually, I'm glad you asked. They are allowing 14 points per game. But look, Philadelphia is allowing 17. I don't see Dallas doing a whole lot against Philadelphia's defense. And so with that being said, I think this becomes a defensive game. It's probably going to be a lower. I had it at 27-24 overtime in my too early prediction, with Philadelphia pulling it out in overtime, 27-24. And I like that still. I might even go down to like 17-20 in overtime or something like that. But that being said, it's not going to be a snoozer of a game. Okay, this is going to be an action-packed game, a fun football game where you see plays being made on both sides of the ball. I think Philadelphia is the more balanced team, especially on offense. It's going to be a really nasty, physical game. There could be a scrum. There could be a fight. You could see some benches clear. I mean, this is going to be like that Baltimore, Baltimore Steelers game, right? The Ravens and Steelers of old and stuff like that. One of those tough games. I expect it to be very exciting, but Philadelphia will pull it out, no question.
Yeah, I mean, I'd say I have to agree. Just kind of like looking at the stats and everything, and how these games have been going for Philly. I mean, outside of the first 2 weeks, they've only been allowing a few points a game. So like their defense may not be quite as high level as Dallas's defense, but they're still holding teams down. I mean, like I said, outside of Detroit putting up 35 on them the first week, they haven't really been letting people put up a ton of numbers on them. I think they won a 34-24 week 2, if I'm not mistaken, but their defense has gradually gotten better each week. So
the Eagles haven't given up more than 21 since that first week. They played the Minnesota. They won 24-7. They beat Washington 24-8. They beat Jacksonville 29-21, and then they beat Arizona 20-17.
Exactly. So they're playing extremely well too. And the fact that they do have an offense that's clicking on all cylinders, I think that makes them extremely dangerous. I think, if Dak was in and he was full health, could the Dallas team put up more of a fight? Definitely. If any given Sunday, these teams are not, I don't think, super far apart in power rankings, right? But I think Philly definitely has the slight edge. I've got my too early prediction is 24-21 Philly. And I think I'm gonna ride with that, because I think that the defenses are gonna keep it from becoming too much of a blowout. But I think that the offense is like Eagles offense just looks too good to go out there and put up 17. And it's possible against Dallas. They only put up 20 this week against Arizona, right? We could see a 17-14 game, but I think either way, if I was doing like a spread, it's going to be Philly by 3.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas defense is phenomenal. I know that you kind of made that, your eyes got a little big when I said one of the best defense of all time. And I mentioned Ray Lewis, and I saw your face. You were just like, whoa, pump your brake. I got pump your brakes look. And I will tell you, I'm just going to rattle this off to you. These are the points they've given up. 19, this is in order from week 1. 19, 17, 16, 10, and 10. Tampa Bay scored 19. They held Cincinnati to 17. They held the Giants to 16. The Rams only scored 10 in prime time. So, I mean,
Yeah.
this team's defense has an opportunity at this pace to be one of the best defenses in history if they keep this type of up. And that's what I think they're going to have to do if they're going to beat Philly. They're going to have to hold Philly to less than 21 points to beat them.
They'll have to manage the time of possession, because I've noticed in these games where they're holding teams is they have a hell of a time of possession because they're running the ball so much. I mean, Cooper Rush, they know he's there, he's doing well, but like he's not exactly going out there and throwing 40 attempts.
No, he's not going to pull you out of a
games.
bunch of third and
You know
longs,
what I mean?
right? He's not Mahomes. He's not going to get you out of third and longs.
I mean, we're seeing 30 plus carries from their backfield every game. I mean, they're definitely managing the clock, and they're doing a good job at it with Pollard and Zeke back there keeping each other fresh. I mean, that is pretty dangerous, and the defense is doing well. But I mean, Philly too. They've got 2 out of the last 2 of their first 5 games. They held them under 10 points. I think honestly, outside of Detroit scoring 35 on them, they'd probably be averaging less points given up than Dallas. So, I mean, they've got a really solid defense too that you can't overlook. I think Dallas gets all the hype because Micah Parsons goes in there and gets him a few sacks. I think he is definitely the best defensive player that either team has. But I mean, Philly is like right there with them, and I think because they have the offensive edge, they've got to come out with a win this week. And I think if they can't, then they might lose this division because I mean, I've got Philly beating them in both games this year. Like I think they're going to have to if they want to win the division.
Yeah, Philadelphia. You're right. I mean, Philadelphia's defensive numbers are pretty good as far as totals that they've given up, other than the Detroit game, right? But with that being said, you know, the Eagles do have a compelling offense. They do have a dynamic offense with a run game and a pass game. I haven't looked, but I would guarantee that they have more first downs than the Dallas Cowboys. And so for the Cowboys defense to play that well without an offense to carry them, without an offense to make sure that they're fresh and on the bench, without an offense to eat up clock, the Dallas defense might have the same amount of scoring defense, but I would imagine that they've had to go up against more possessions than the Eagles have.
Mm-hmm.
The defense of the Eagles has had probably not faced as many possessions against the offense that they're facing because of the disparaging, the difference in the offenses between the two teams. So with that being said, I still give the Dallas defense a major edge. And Micah Parsons is a big reason why. But the question is, are they going to show up with the lights on, big division game this week against the Eagles? I can't wait.
I can't either, man. It could go either way because of how close the teams are. Between Buffalo, Kansas City, and Dallas and Philly, I mean, I don't know. Kind of like Caleb said, my heart may not be able to take it. It's going to be 2 really good games. I really can't wait, man. But I know that we're already sitting at almost an hour and a half on today's podcast, and we don't have Caleb here to end it, but we'll throw out, what did he think for this game? He has Philly 31-28, so we all agree it's going to be a 3-point game, except for Marengo is the only one who took Dallas. He took him by 11, so Marengo might come out with another week if Dallas can pull out a win. But appreciate you being on, Caleb. I know you're going to end up watching this portion since you were here for it, man. I appreciate you being on as well. And, hopefully, go Kansas City. Hopefully we can beat the Bills, and I'm rooting for Philly as well. But, one last thing. If you guys are planning on putting any bets on these big games, we've got some good promos going on this week. I'll have all of my sportsbook links underneath here in the comments section. We got Caesars, FanDuel, DraftKings, PointsBet, BetMGM. If you think about it, we probably have it. Go in there, just help out the podcast. It helps us a ton if you guys just sign up through there. If you're going to bet anyways, go ahead and use those for us. And as always, appreciate you guys jumping on and watching us this week. And we will see you next week. Hopefully we'll have no roughing the passers to talk about.
Take care, guys.